Welcome to the Bob Priest Show of Life podcast. I'm your host, Bob Priest. Thanks for tuning in today's show. This podcast is dedicated to individuals and professionals who desire to learn more about the subject of health and wellness, as well as alternative technologies to better health and vitality. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Bob Priest Show of Life podcast. I'm your host, Bob Priest. My guest today is Dr. Van Thielen, best-selling author. He's going to be coming up with a new book here shortly, which we'll talk about. Founder of Health Freedom Movement and sought-after speaker, and many, many other things that are in his resume, which I've asked Mike to share with you a little bit today. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Bob. Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to it. You have quite the resume, my friend.
Well, I guess I'm not type A, but type AAA. So, I gotta keep going, right?
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for your listeners, you probably pick up an accent. I was born in Belgium, and so hence the accent. But I grew up, with a single mom who worked very hard to provide for me and my brother. Luckily, college or university is not as expensive there than here, so I was able to go to the University of Brussels. I did physical education first because I loved sports. I was a competitive swimmer, still was up until a few years ago, and did physical education first, but what are you going to do with that, really? So then I decided to do physical therapy, traveled with the Belgian Olympic swim team in preparation for the Atlanta Games in 1996. That's when I came to America. And that's when they were short of therapists here. So I got recruited. Again, I had to save $400, pack my backpack, put my jeans on, and come live the American dream. And started as a physical therapist, but then got more interested in what they call or label alternative medicine, which actually is most of it is the original medicines. So I went back to school to the Florida College of Integrative Medicine, got my license in acupuncture, board certified in Chinese herbs, homeopathy, and all of that stuff. But after treating another 1,000 patients, I got a little frustrated because these modalities and therapies are indeed less invasive and harmful than conventional medicine, meaning drugs, injections, and surgeries. But I really didn't get the lasting results I was looking for either. So I decided to go back to basics. I got my PhD in holistic nutrition, but also started looking at Mother Nature and see what animals in the wild actually do, because Mother Nature tells the truth. And by combining those two, I got very confident in helping people with their health. And so that's when I started writing books. I just finished book number 8. I also started to do a lot of keynote and motivational speaking. I just delivered my TEDx talk last month. And so from that, I really got into health, which we call at the edge, what's the newest thing. So in the beginning, it was called anti-aging medicine. I had several anti-aging clinics. Then it became regenerative medicine. I became the CEO of a stem cell clinic where we treated thousands of patients, including top athletes, NFL players, heavyweight champion boxers. And then COVID came, right? And so we closed the doors for the stem cell clinic. And that's when I really started focusing again on, speaking, coaching, mentoring. So today, I'm a coach and mentor for individuals, but also for corporations on 3 levels, basically. If you want to regain control of your health, optimize your health, or biohack, which we'll talk about today, I assume. Biohacking is basically objectively reversing your biological age, so increasing your lifespan. Or if you want to be successful in your business or personal life, that's what I do. So I help individuals and corporations achieve those goals and dreams, or, also on a health perspective, upgrade body, mind, and life. Wow,
that's that's a busy life already, and you look so young. I have no idea what your age is, but
I'm gonna be actually I'm 52. But again, I believe that today, not just the elite, but even the average person, if we learn the tips and strategies that are available to the average person right now on biohacking, then I believe we all can be 100 years old but do the things a 40-year-old can do, meaning go on vacation, go skiing, go hiking, enjoy life, enjoy the grandkids, etc. I truly believe that's possible today.
I agree with you, Mike. 7 years ago on my 60th birthday, do I look 66 to you?
No, you don't.
On my 60th birthday, I had a stroke.
Mm.
And I was a runner and a cyclist and thought I was in pretty decent health. And boom, that happened. And that really threw me into a whole different mindset. And the thing that really bothered me after having the stroke was I was thrown into all this medication that I felt worse a lot of times when I would take that. And I went on my own research journey to find more alternative modalities. And so that's why my podcast got started, was I wanted to find people like yourself that have found different ways to help ourselves through, our body's a miraculous machine, and it heals itself if we do the right things in preparation of it. And I've learned that over the past 6-7 years. So when I ran into you, it really caught my attention, the things that you're doing and have done that are different than the average medical person out there. You've really gone into a whole nother area. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, is because I think our audience needs to be educated that there's more ways, sometimes quite better, to heal our bodies and to continue that longevity that we all look for. We all are looking for that secret fountain of youth out there.
Well, you brought up a few great key points, Bob. Number one, conventional medicine, especially in the United States, but most of the world, it's not really there to help us. I mean, we really got to face the truth that it's a big, big money machine. And yes, they don't want us to die because then they can't make money, but they don't want us to live healthy either, right? Because then it would be a health system and not a sick care system, and that's what it is. And their toolbox is so limited. Within the doctor's toolbox, we have, pharmaceuticals, we have injections, and we have surgeries. But there's hundreds of other things out there that will put our body in the correct conditions so that it can heal itself, because that's the second thing that you mentioned. And I agree 100%. Drugs don't cure, therapies don't cure, supplements don't cure, a good diet doesn't cure. Any technology that's out there doesn't cure either. Only the body can cure itself or heal itself. But it's up to us to put that body in the right conditions, give it the right tools so it can do the job. And so that's exactly where we need to be. It's almost pretentious to think that we as humans ever would understand this complex machinery where we have about 50 to 75 trillion cells, each of them performing a few million chemical reactions per second. So if you want to know how many chemical reactions there occur in our body any given second, you simply have to multiply 75 trillion with a few million, right? And to think that we can master that or ever understand that is actually laughable. So what we need to realize is that the body knows what it's doing. Don't intervene. Don't take out a gallbladder. Don't do those things. Don't mutilate the body. Just put it in the proper conditions so that it can heal itself and do what it needs to do.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I unfortunately found it the hard way. But
yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about biohacking. Let's get a little more in depth about what that means and how you're helping people in the world through this concept of biohacking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very amorphous term and different people have different definitions. There's actually kind of a negative quotation on biohacking too, because hacking means basically also taking a shortcut, and in health, there are no shortcuts, unfortunately, right? Everybody always waits for the silver bullet or the magic bullet that just doesn't exist. So keep waiting. You just got to put some foundations in place and take control and take responsibility. But my definition of biohacking basically is upgrading your body, your mind, and your life. And when it comes to health, it means objectively reversing your biological age so we can be a 100-year-old and do the things a 40-year-old can do. And I believe that's possible. Now, when people come to me with their health problems, I usually categorize them in 3 categories. And unfortunately, most people fall in the first one. And that is that people that are overweight, people that have been diagnosed with a medical condition or labeled, and people that are just not healthy, right? And so what we need to do in stage 1 is we need to regain control of their health. We need to eliminate those medical diagnoses. We need to get an optimal body composition. We need to get rid of the pain that they're suffering from and get back to quote unquote normal. Most of us are below that baseline, right? So let's get back to normal. Then step number 2, we need to achieve optimal health. That means we need to incorporate lifestyle modifications so that we can be strong and vital and fit, and we be in control, or be able to be in control of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And only when one is in optimal health, we can go to step number 3, which is biohacking, which means is now optimal health is the ideal foundation to benefit from biohacking strategies and modalities, meaning now we're going to anti-age, we're going to reverse, we're going to renew, we're going to repair, we're going to do whatever it can to, yes, be chronologically 100, but be able to do what a 40-year-old does. And so those are the 3 steps. So you cannot, again, take that shortcut and be overweight and have chronic back pain and be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and think that a biohacking technology, that your body's going to respond to that. Your body's in a state of emergency. Your body's putting out fires. It's not going to respond to something that will reverse your biological age. It's putting out fires. So we need to really start and customize where somebody starts and what the biohacking strategies would be to get to that next level, and then ultimately start biohacking and reversing that biological age.
Man, that's great. Back on number 1, when you said it, this is kind of, you used the word labeling. and we're back at, below baseline or whatever. I've really been frustrated in our world today with, gosh, there must be 100+ diets out there. And when you look at them and read any information about what they do, whether it's an Atkins diet or it's all these commercialized ones, whatever, I don't want to mention too many names, but they all basically say the same thing, just come at different angles. Do you believe that these diets even really work and that people should be wasting their time and money there, or is there a better way?
Well, of course they don't work, because if they worked, we only needed one and everybody would have a result, right? So that's number 1. Number
Correct.
2, we're so, it's not just politics, but it's everything on the TV. It's all propaganda. It's all about making money, and it's all about subconsciously brainwashing us. And so we go on a diet, we lose a little bit weight, but we know that when we stop, we regain it. Hence the other name, they call them yo-yo diets, right?
Right.
And like you said, then people tried it and it doesn't work. So now they're going to come out with something else. And it's just a different packaging, but it's another low-calorie diet where you starve for a little bit. And of course, you're going to burn calories. If you intake less calories than you expend during the day. And so we keep on doing that yo-yo diet, but people, people don't take their own responsibility, so they can keep on trying those diets in the hope that one diet will work and last. And many times they work. If you don't eat, of course, you're going to lose weight. But when you stop the diet, then you're going to regain the weight, and many times even more. So yes, those are all what they call fat diets, right? It's just propaganda. It never works. It's about getting into your pockets and getting some of your money. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because I've unfortunately fell in that trap many years ago, but I have since learned over the years that is exactly what you said. It's propaganda, and it's just a waste of money. And
if we think about weight loss or people where we storing excess fat, right? What that means basically is the body cannot burn the fat because it's doing something more important, putting out fires. And putting out fires is basic dealing with systemic inflammation, because in my world, there's only one cause of all disease, and therefore there's only one solution. So it makes it easy. The cause of all disease is toxemia. Toxemia literally means toxins in the blood. But in a little bit more detail, what it means is during daily living, we have a metabolism, and we have all those chemical reactions going on that we talked about. And as a result of that, there is waste product, there is toxins produced. But in a healthy, normal organism, those toxins are disposed of. They're excreted by the skin, the kidneys, the bowels, etc. So at the end of the day, no harm is done. However, when we ingest or exposed to far more toxins than the body possibly can eliminate, then those toxins accumulate in our blood and our body, and that's really what we call toxemia. Now, what happens when those toxins are floating around? There's two things. Number one, these toxins steal an electron from a healthy atom, which then becomes unstable, which we know as free radicals. We don't have to go in details because I'm sure most of your listeners have heard about free radicals causing havoc even on a cellular DNA level. But then the second part we talked about, these toxins now cause a state of emergency. And in conventional medicine, we call this systemic inflammation. And even conventional medicine now agrees that over 90% of all disease is directly correlated to systemic inflammation. Even you talked about your heart attack and your stroke and those types of things. I mean, your stroke, but heart attack, same thing. It's a directly correlated systemic inflammation and not a hoax such as cholesterol, okay? So they agree. So now we got free radical damage and we got systemic inflammation. Now, systemic inflammation is going on in the body, right? Which could cause any type of disease. But our body's putting out fires, so it's not getting to burning fat and to other essential things the body should be doing. So it's going to store fat. It's going to also, with those toxins, if it can't excrete it, it's going to have to neutralize it in another way, encapsulate it. That's when we get cysts and all those types of things, right? And it's going to have to do all these compensatory techniques to neutralize those toxins, state of emergency. Now, if we really want to lose weight, we should focus on losing weight. We should focus on improving our health and reducing that systemic inflammation, keeping toxemia in check. How do we do that? Again, theoretically, it's very simple. That's why I'm successful in helping my clients. Number one, we need to decrease the intake and exposure to toxins, right? Where do they come from? Our man-made foods, our man-made drinks, our pharmaceutical and over-the-counter medications, because that's just a pile of toxins. Comes from our what? Our cleaning products, household products, cosmetic products that are in the house. Comes from our electromagnetic frequencies and radiation, our cell phones, our Wi-Fi, our appliances, our power lines, all those types of things. So on each of those levels, we need to do whatever we can to mitigate the exposure. And simultaneously, we need to increase the nutrients that have been proven to do what? To neutralize free radicals, reduce systemic inflammation, and repair our DNA. If we do that and we keep that toxemia in check, then we basically make ourselves bulletproof against all disease. And if we do that as an adverse reaction, as a side effect, we will lose weight. Because if we put ourselves out of that state of emergency, then the body's going to go back to its normal duties, including burning that fat. And then you'll have a lasting result because you solve the cause of the weight loss.
Now, Mike, that's just too simple.
Well, that's how it is, right? If we make it complicated, then we can make money on it because now you have to listen to a doctor. And you blindly have to follow advice. When you make it too simple, there's no money to be made.
Well, you put that in such a logical way. And in my studies after I had my stroke, it's all about inflammation.
Yes.
And I remember the inflammation that I had after my stroke, and I just couldn't function like I used to. It seemed like every joint hurt and all that. And as I tackled the inflammation aspect outside of pharmaceuticals, looking for natural ways, I don't have that problem anymore. I'm older than I was after just when I had the stroke, but I feel younger. And it's because I've really focused in on how to repair cells and look at things that help me physically and mentally, I think, have a better outlook on life for the things that are going to help my body and people around me. And that's why I look for people like you that are doing these types of things to let our audience know that there's more out there than the little bottle with pills in it.
And there's a lot more out there. And you mentioned labeling. There's another aspect to that labeling. In Western medicine, we are very good at diagnosing. That's where everybody makes the big money, the CAT scans, the MRIs, and then one test to the next test, and thousands of dollars everybody's making. And then finally, after 2 years, we figured it out. You, sir, you have MS. And then the patient goes like, oh, okay, we finally know what it is. What's the solution? Oh, we don't really have a solution for MS, right? So it's about diagnosing. But now you labeled, you have MS. And that's when you have that label subconsciously even, and that's what you're thinking about every day, guess what you're going to do? Die of MS. You're going to actually have MS, because the people today, including my clients, I really work on the mindset too, first and foremost, because the mind is in control of the body, and the mind also creates your future. What's coming creates your success or your failure. So if somebody labels you with MS or cancer, and you believe that that's who you are, that's what you have, then exactly, you're gonna actually agree with the doctor, and the doctor's gonna be right. If you change that mindset and you say, no, I'm not having cancer, I'm gonna overcome the cancer or the MS, and you eliminate false core beliefs, and you're going to work on your mindset and your belief system, and you're really going to use that mind. And, you know, for your listeners, it may be like, oh, that's difficult. Yes, it was difficult for me too. 2 decades ago, when I was a top swimmer and they told me you got to meditate and you're going to swim faster. And I tried meditating a few sessions, and I was unable to clear my thoughts from my mind. I gave up, because if there's no results, why keep on practicing it? But today, we have the technologies and the modalities available that even in 1 or 2 sessions, the average person can experience the meditative state, can experience a different brainwave. And then when you feel there's a benefit, you keep on going, right? Because today we have breath work, which works very good for me to focus on your breath to clear the mind. We have visualization, manifestation. Then we have technologies such as Brain Tap, and the list goes on, to really help people, you know, control their emotions, their feelings, change their belief system, eliminate Farquhar's beliefs, and really believe that they can overcome that cancer. Because if there's a doubt in our mind that we're going to succeed in something, whether it's beating cancer or MS, or whether it's realizing your dreams, or become the next millionaire, or create the best piece of music you ever created, whatever that may be, if we have a doubt in our mind, then the universe has 2 options, success or failure. If we have no doubt in our minds that we're going to succeed, then the universe has only 1 option, a big win, right? So mindset becomes very important. And it's not your doctor that labels you or knows how detrimental that labeling is going to be for you, but it's certainly the upper elite that has constantly used these techniques that we don't recognize to actually control us. And labeling with a disease is a huge control mechanism that then actually ends up being, you know, the truth. You're going to die for cancer. You only have 6 months to live. Many times it's true because you believe it. If you don't believe that, and I've done it with many clients, including cancer, you know, then you continue to live and are much stronger for it. And then the mind not just can overcome cancer, but the mind now can control your destiny, your future, your success, and anything that's going on biologically and physiologically in your body. So I know we're going to talk about the body a lot, but I just want to say the mind is a key aspect of not just healing, but of success in your life and realizing your dreams.
I agree 100%. This is what I've been reading here lately. 10 Seeds of Greatness by Dr. Dennis Waitley. And I've got many books back on my shelf. I started very young. I was a high school band director. That's what I studied, music. So when you hit the word music, that rang for me. And one of the things I learned rather quickly was controlling this and changing that mindset. You know, Zig Ziglar said that, you know, success is failure turned inside out. And, you know, we all go through some form of failure, whether it's with our physical body or businesses or whatever. It's what we do after that counts.
It's all mindset, right? It's all
right.
mindset. When I came here with $400 to the United States without a coach, a mentor, no experience, I got knocked down many times. My motto, and luckily I had the swimming background, because swimming is a tough sport. You need to be persistent and determination. But, you know, that's why I contribute a lot of my success to, is because I was a swimmer at a young age and I was very competitive. But having said that, my motto quickly became, I never lose, I win or learn. So you can come into an obstacle and you can throw up your arms and give up, or you can say, if I attack this obstacle, I'm 1 step closer to where I want to be, right? And Absolutely. So like you said, I mean, we always, the people know the expression, the glass is half full or half empty. And that's the power of the mind. And you know that already.
Yes. And I'm glad that you brought that up in our conversation, because it's so important that regardless whether we have a poor health situation, it's how we look at it. It's how we're going to focus on, do we give up and do we believe the label the doctor gave us, or do we fight and try to find different ways to approach it? And that's what I want for our audiences to realize. There's different ways to approach this. I was talking to a lady from across the pond a couple of weeks ago on one of my podcasts, and her mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And she knew something was going on with their mom, but she wasn't quite sure. So when the diagnosis came through, her mind went into a different mode. And she started researching and started looking for, and guess what she came back to? It's the foods we put in our body. It's the types of toxins that are there that we need to get rid of. Mm-hmm. So she went to work, and you know that she's told me that her mother's almost reversed 100% back to normal.
Well, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because again, as long as we are alive, as long as we're breathing, the body always strives for perfect health. It's one of the laws of human nature, the law of self-preservation.
Right.
Nobody's going to stop that. As long as the body is breathing, it's going to try to heal itself. But like we said in the beginning, we need to put the body in the right conditions so it can do that, or give it the right tools. And many times that is nutrition, or fresh air, or clean oxygen, or whatever it may be, a fresh mind, reducing that stress, because emotion, feelings, and stress have an amazing or significant impact on our physical body also, as everybody now knows. So we got to address those things for sure. And then when we put the body in that condition, magic happens.
There you go. You know, our cells are always going through those processes, and it's important that we keep those cells as healthy as we can. You mentioned early on that you had written several books. What's the latest book you've written?
The latest book is the ISOT method, Unleash Your Superpower, about optimizing productivity, focus, freeing up valuable time, and then again, biohacking, upgrading your body and your mind. This is actually book number 8, but the first 7 were all about health. And this one I expanded on purpose. And the reason I did that is during the pandemic, a colleague of mine asked me to help out with pre-screening patients that were interested in medical marijuana. And so they were in a bind for more people to help. I said, sure, I'll help out. So I ended up talking to hundreds of people every week with what? Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, and those types of things. And to my surprise, yes, there were many. And yes, there's drugs and therapies out there, of course. But what I really found talking to them is there was an underlying cause. And that was they had no purpose in life. So just imagine that you're going through the day, putting out fires at work. The boss throws you extra work. You come home, you got to bring the kids to soccer field. Your partner wants something else, and you're just trying to keep up with life. And you're late on your bills, which is most people, right? And so when I put myself in that situation, yes, I'm going to be worried tomorrow. If I'm not knowing what tomorrow's brings, next week brings, next month or next year's brings, yes, I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be fearful. I'm going to be uncertain, which then translates in what? Anxiety, depression, and those types of mental conditions. And so that's when I decided with this book to expand. And now with many people, I just don't recommend supplements or get them off drugs or focus on their health, but I go a little bit further. It's like, okay, you know, what is your purpose in life? And many times with a few exercises, we can figure that out within an hour or within a week. And then many times life controls us versus we controlling life. Right. And especially now today with social media. And so besides identifying or confirming our purpose in life, we now have to regain control of our life. We need to be scripting our life. We need to be in control of our agenda, our calendar. We need to set goals and deadlines and dreams, and we need to get the right people around us. And so as we create more control, we create clarity, and clarity reduces all stress because you're in control. You know what's coming, you know what's happening, and it's all planned out. And so that's what I help people do now is purpose and regain control of their calendar and their agenda and script their life. And so now a lot of those mental aspects and conditions, they just fall away without therapy and without drugs. And so then we're in a mindset again where we have fire and passion in our stomach, thinking about our dreams and what we really want to achieve in life. And we have control of our life. So now we actually also have a great foundation to work on our health, to work on our business success, to work on our personal relationships, etc. So this book goes beyond biohacking and goes a little bit into fundamentals that really need to be in place. Because if you are not living your purpose, meaning like most of us, you came out of the womb and suddenly there's this society that pushes you a certain direction. We got to go to school, we got to go to college, and then we got to work for somebody till we're 65. And then hopefully there's the golden years which never come. Or it's our parents and our teachers that steer us in a certain direction, because if dad's a lawyer, guess what? He probably wants you to go to where? Law school.
Lawyer, yeah.
And if mom's a doctor, they probably want you to go to med school. And so many times you may be a great brain surgeon today and doing a great job and making good living, but it may not be your purpose or your passion in life. And so many times, those are one of the first steps that we do. They may be excellent at what they do, but they may not be happy. They may not be, living their dream or their purpose. So,
well, if you find your purpose and your passion, you'll never work a day in your life.
No. And, here's the easy thing that your listeners need to ask themselves tomorrow morning. When they get up or when they wake up, they got to ask themselves, what's going through your mind? Is it A, I have to get up, I have to get to work, I have to do this, I have to do that? Or is it, I get to get up, I get to get to work, I get to finish this, I get to do this? And unfortunately, 90+% of us, it's the first one. That means we need to make a change.
That's excellent advice, Mike. Gosh, I wish we could do this for another couple hours, but I know we can't.
I can come back on.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Mike has several books out. I'm just going to read some titles: The Invisible Threat, Stem Cells 101, Walking the Talk, which I think right now we've been having conversation about walking the talk.
Yeah.
Be Lean, Health for Life. It's a user manual. How to, I can't get those too small, but it's about fibromyalgia. What's the title of that one?
Do it yourself, getting your fibromyalgia into remission.
Okay,
just because
good.
As a practitioner, I came across many people with fibromyalgia. Your average doctor doesn't want to see those people on a schedule. They don't know what to do with them, so they usually put them on antidepressants, etc. But a fair amount of those people truly have a legitimate problem.
Right.
And so that book basically says, don't go to your doctor to get depressed. Just take care of it yourself.
I have a friend that's got fibromyalgia, and I've seen her go through the process of it. So I'm going to definitely recommend that book to her. Optimize Your Immune System is another one of the books, and of course the one Mike just shared with us. In this whole conversation, we started off talking about our bodies and health, but you really dove into a deeper place, and that's the way we think. That's the way we process. It's the way we look at life. I love the words you use with the purpose of life, because that's what I'm about. Is I've been looking for my purpose, especially since I retired from teaching, and I'm looking for more after my stroke and trying to find better ways to live, and looking for people like you that think differently than the average. And I've learned over my life that if everybody's swimming this way, I'm probably going to swim the other way. And because I don't think like the average person, and obviously you don't either, Mike. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good thing. Because you have researched, you have changed directions several times to have a more deeper focus. And I think we as a populace, we need to start thinking that way instead of being led around by the nose by just the talking heads or whatever that are out there. We need to look and research and understand our bodies are a miraculous machine, that if we really listen to our body, it'll take care of us.
Yep.
And I've really enjoyed this conversation. What percentage of winning as a sports athlete is mental, and what percentage is physical for our athletes out there?
Yeah, if you would ask any coach, they would always answer between 50 and 90%, but it's actually 100%. you know, I always use the examples of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Everybody knows they never really had a bad game, even if they have fever and standing on a court. They never have a bad game. They may lose games, but they're teammates. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't ever lose. Because they're in the zone, right?
Yeah.
And now you would think all the other NBA players or NFL players or top golfers, they're all extremely talented. They have strength. They have skills. They're athletic. Otherwise, they wouldn't be drafted, right? So, but what makes the difference? It's in between the ears, right? It's in the zone. And so people always say when they watch those games, like, oh, he had an off game or he had an off day. So did their strength diminish? Did their physical capacity diminish? Did their skills diminish? No, the only thing that changed is right here. They were distracted. How were they distracted? Well, maybe they were in an argument with their partner. Maybe something financial was going on. Maybe something showed up in the newspaper about them. Maybe there was something with the kids. I don't know, but they were just a fraction of a second too late. The ball slipped through the hands of the wide receiver. They just missed an easy putt, which they normally never miss, right? They were distracted. They were not in the zone. That never happened with Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, for example. They were always in the zone on demand. And that's what my book is about, because being in the zone is not just for athletes or musicians. It's for everybody, but you need to know how to get there, how to turn that on and off, because that's, you can do that free throw in front of 50,000 people, but you're in the zone, they're not even there. So they can't distract you with their noise or with their whatever they're weaponing left and right. That's being in the zone, no distractions. And so there's a difference between winning and losing, right? It's that fraction of a second anticipation faster than your opponent. It's that decision making. It's that extra focus that you have versus your competitor, who may be stronger and faster. But if you are in the zone, they're never going to beat you. And so the other advantage, I think, of being in the zone from an athletic point of view, and not just athletic, again, it can translate to anything: a musician, an artist, a performer, a business professional, somebody who wants to crush their sales goals. It does not really matter. If you want to win, no matter what it is, when you're in the zone, you only have the end in mind. What does that mean? If you're a golfer and you miss a simple putt, that miss usually carries over a few more holes. If you're a wide receiver and the ball slips through your hands, it affects negatively your next few plays usually, and it takes a little bit for you to get back in the game. When you're in the zone, that miss does not affect you at all, because all you have in mind is the end, right? And so that's about being in the zone. And so when you think about your question, I would say it's 100% mental, because all those people have those talents. They've been drafted, they're athletic, their performance. So what makes the difference? The mental aspect.
And that, I think that carries through a lot of things, because, a lot of those elite athletes, when they fall out of the zone, that's when you see them in trouble.
Yeah,
Doing things that really are uncharacteristic for a professional kind of person. I was sitting backstage when I was in graduate school, and the Canadian Brass, I'm sure you've heard of the Canadian Brass music group, very professional group. And one of their trumpet players was just sick as could be. He had a fever. Backstage, he was wiping himself off. He was shivering. But the minute he walked out, you never knew it. And then he would come backstage during intermission, and he's wrapping up and he's taking fluids, throws the towel down, wipes his face off, goes out, never knew it. And when I was telling people after the concert, you should have seen this guy, man. He was so sick. And they go, he wasn't sick. Did you hear him play? And that's a guy in the zone.
That's exactly right. And in the zone, it has the key elements for everybody, but I call it power routines, right? You need to develop your own power routine. And I got power routines: evening, morning routine. That's 2 power routines: a biohacking routine and a dream routine. And many times I share my template, but don't use my power routine. It's not going to work for you. We need to tweak your power routine. It's a routine that you can count on each and every time to get into that zone, right? And that consists of certain elements. And we try see what works for you and create that power routine. So this Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they had their routine that they could count on each and every day. And as soon as you change that, and that's what you just kind of did, right? As soon as you change that, they're off keel and they're going to lose, right? But your music player, your trumpet player, he knew his routine. And no matter what happened around, and even feeling sick, as soon as he's in his routine, he can count on performing. And there's zero distractions, even being physically sick. And that's a prime example you just gave us.
That is so fantastic. The information you've shared this morning on our podcast is just tremendous. And we're definitely going to have you back, Mike, and go down some other directions. And I'm looking forward to getting some of your material and reading some more. We're going to sign off for today. But before I do, I always ask my guests to leave at least 2 thoughts for our audience that are pieces of value. So if you could just think for a second, what are 2 thoughts that you would like to leave with the audience that they can take home today and maybe start applying right now?
Yeah, there's many, but 2, let me think of practical ones. If you, because we've been talking about health, right? And many people fall in that first category. They got to get rid of some disease, some pain, some extra weight. So start thinking outside of the box. Don't just go to your doctors. And yes, you can get a third and second opinion, but it's still within that same limited toolbox you're operating, right? So for yourself, when you hear somebody, when you read something or a doctor says something, ask yourself this question: what do animals in the wild do? And start thinking about it, what the lion does, what the gorilla does, what the antelope does. Not your pet at home, because they get the same diseases, but what do they do? What do they drink? Do they wear clothes? Do they wear sunglasses? Do they eat once a meal, twice a meal, 3 times a day, 5 times a day? Are they combining their foods? Are they cooking their... What are they doing? Just start thinking about that, and that will give you the true answer. That's number 1. Number 2, I think to start working on your mind, for me personally, breath work was something that I never thought of that would have the effect that it had on me. So download a free app that I use, because all the breath masters in the world are on this one app. You can download it for free. And there are payment options if you want access to more, but you don't have to have those initially. So it's all free. Go to The Breath Source. The Breath Source. It's an app on your smart device. Download it and start learning how to breathe properly. 99.5% of us have no clue. By the way, we need to breathe in through the nose for 5 counts and out through the nose for 6 counts. Never in or out through the mouth. The mouth's for eating and speaking. And if we do that 5 in, 6 out, and we get used to that, we only breathe 6 times per minute. When we breathe through the mouth, it's what? 16 to 22 times. So we increase our efficiency of our oxygen by 300% just by breathing correctly. And we don't even know as humans how to do that. So tip number 2, learn how to breathe correctly. The Breath Source app would probably be a good start at no
Those
cost.
2 excellent pieces of advice. And, you know, the breathing, I really resonate with, being a musician, and had to learn to breathe correctly at a very early age. To be able to produce really quality sounds on my instrument. So thank you so much. Mike, how can people reach out to you if they'd like to learn more about you and if they want to get in contact with you?
The best place is just my website, biohackingunlimited.com. All my books are there. My mentorship programs are there. You can subscribe free to my newsletter. So everything you need is right there at biohackingunlimited.com.
Awesome. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation I've had with Dr. Mike today. My whole focus has been to bring new and innovative modalities to the world through alternative and functional and integrative type medicines. And Dr. Mike definitely has done that in his practice and has created some really interesting things that you need to look into. Come back next week for a brand new session with someone. And I hope you enjoyed this one today. Thank you, Mike, so much for being with us. And with that, we're going to say goodbye.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks again for checking into today's episode. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, Apple, leave me a 5-star rating if you so choose, and if you enjoyed the show. I'm so grateful that you're spending some time with us and listening to our podcast. If you need to get in touch with me to learn more about my passion to inform and educate about alternative methods and modalities of healing, you can go to www.bobpriest.life. That's BOBPRIEST.life. While there, check out a blog or two and listen to other podcast sessions that I've had in the past. Guys, have a great day, and thank you so much for joining in.